The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold, and it is Friday. Hope you're all having a wonderful Friday. A couple little housekeeping items for you guys before I go through the chat and really kick the show off. There isn't a ton of like super interesting stuff today, but I did go through a little bit of the new NDAA, and I found a couple things that have piqued my interest. But not a big fan overall, generally, because of how much money we're going to be spending. But we'll go through those things as well. A couple Trump True Social posts, some random stories, and depending on how far we get, I might even throw a link to call in the chat. But before we do that, before we even get to those who make this show possible, we have a date scheduled and everything for the upcoming Badlands meetup in Jupiter, Florida. I'm going to be there. CanCon and JB White have confirmed that they'll be there. Zach isn't sure because that's the same day as his daughter's birthday and she may be in town visiting him. So if that's the case, he won't be there. But it's going to be August 9th, Jupiter, Florida. You have to RSVP to attend. And about a week before the event, we'll email out details of location and the exact time. It'll be sometime in the afternoon. We're just trying to get a head count so we know exactly where to do it. Plus, it's a way to keep the riffraff out because I know we have some infiltrators down there in the Florida area. But yeah, make sure you guys RSVP. I think it'll be a fun time. The meetups always are. But badlandsmeetups@gmail.com to RSVP. Give your name and your email address. Q of Swords, John Jupiter is in Leo. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, Jupiter, Florida. We already have a couple people who've RSVP'd. And we have like barely even posted it. So will be a fun time. Anyway, let's get a quick word from the sponsors of today's show. Very excited about these guys. And then we'll see what happens. First up, we got Alp. And I got some talking to do about this. Tired of nicotine pouches drier than your ex's texts? Meet Alp, the moist flavor bomb pouches that actually deliver. While the other guys taste like grandma's dusty tea bag, Alp hits you with bold flavors and 20 pouches per tin. That's 5 extra hits of satisfaction. 3 milligrams for chill mode all the way up to 12 milligrams for I just saw that group chat energy. And because your lip deserves better than desert, grab yours at badlandsmedia.tv/Alp. Use code Badlands for 10% off. badlandsmedia.tv/Alp, code Badlands. Now, I know CanCon the other day, he did this ad read and he got some comments of people who were like upset that we were using Alp as a sponsor. And I think that's so silly. Like, number one, I signed up for this when everybody else was all on board with Tucker Carlson. And I was the only one that's like, okay, guys, let's settle down a little bit. And now everybody else has gone the complete other direction on Tucker Carlson. And I'm still like, okay, guys, let's settle down a little bit. But these are the ones that I actually use. I'm not perfect. very close, but not quite all the way perfect. And I have bad habits, okay? And I'm not the only one in Badlands who uses these. So we're like, okay, well, it's the one that we all use. We might as well make money off of it just for our own purchases of it. Might as well get 10% back. But then if there's other people out there with bad habits who happen to use the same product, they can get 10% off too and support Badlands Media in the process. So how dare you criticize us? We've been very good and diligent about the sponsors we choose. And although people don't love Tucker Carlson, I don't really care because I like the product. But yeah, people complain about everything. Snackums, the Rumble Android app interface changed for me and it's horrible. Anyone else? I wonder what they changed. I know they've been working on a lot of stuff. Hopefully we don't have any issues today. But there's a few bigger updates that are going to be coming out in the next couple days or weeks. I guess who knows exactly when, but I know they're working on stuff. I had a call with them last week. The next sponsor for today's show is Earth Echo. This episode is also brought to you by Cacao Bliss from Earth Echo, a ceremonial grade cacao drink with 7 superfoods that lower appetite, boost focus, and calm anxiety. A new study found that one bizarre morning ritual nearly doubled GLP-1 levels in participants within hours. There were no needles or prescription pills involved, and this ritual tastes like chocolate. The drink is called ceremonial grade cacao, and before you picture a Hershey's bar, let me be clear, this is nothing like the chocolate sitting in your pantry right now. That stuff has been heated, chemically processed, and stripped of almost everything healthy. Raw ceremonial cacao keeps all the good stuff, so the healthy part, the flavonols, stay completely intact. Harvard researchers spent years studying a tribe in Panama that drinks 5 cups of this stuff every single day and found that their rates of cardiovascular problems were 9 times lower than Americans. 9 times. Cacao Bliss from Earth Echo takes ceremonial grade cacao and combines it with 7 organic superfoods that taste just like hot chocolate. And get ready, this stuff will completely transform your mornings. Pro tip is to throw it in your coffee. Learn more and get your special discounts and free shipping today at trycacaobliss.com/badlands. That's trycacaobliss.com/badlands. All right. Gail Time says you should have a Badlands meetup in Boca Grande and invite Tucker Carlson. I mean, I have no idea of how to even get a hold of him. So if anybody knows, that would be really cool. Great ad read, salty, John. Yeah, people are retarded. Tobacco is an herb just like cannabis. Get over it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. It's my thoughts too. All right, let's start plugging away. Gold and silver, they're up a hair from yesterday. Get to that screen. There we go. Gold is at 4,084. Silver is at 59. Bitcoin is down from its high even just today. It was at almost 66,000. It's down to 63,857. And then the national gas price average is up to $4.10. And there are a lot of people talking about the gas prices these last few days. Let me show you this story. If I can archive this link. There we go. And again, the polls are fake. We talk about it all the time, but this is, what they're using to help shape some narratives. So it's important to discuss. Polls show that new problem for GOP. Americans think gas prices are worse than they are. Even a majority of people who voted for President Donald Trump in 2024 overestimated the change in gas prices in their area. A Politico analysis found gas prices are high, but Americans think they're even higher. 3 in 5 Americans believe gas prices in their area have risen by more than they actually have, according to an analysis of new results from the Politico poll. Could be bogus again, but worth discussing. It's those perceptions that candidates will be running against this fall. Voters' anxieties about fuel prices could give Democrats a boost ahead of the midterms, further strengthening the Democratic voting base and putting strains on the mega coalition as the increasingly unpopular war in Iran drags on. A plurality of Americans, roughly 46%, say the change in gas prices will impact how they plan to vote come November. And I'm just curious, in your day-to-day lives, how much do you talk about and how much do you and your friends talk about the gas prices? Because going back to when I first started writing the Devolution series and talking about Psyop and all this stuff, one of the things that I always looked at as a trigger for, some sort of awakening, and that was back more when I put more weight on the importance of people waking up. I'm not saying it's not as important anymore, but I'm much more of the mindset that I don't want to wait for them anymore. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. But I always said that the economics of things is what's going to affect the most people. Things that hit people in their wallet is where they're going to see actual change. And when Biden was in office, we saw negative economic and financial consequences. And that was one of the reasons Trump still had the mandate in 2024, I believe. And so this term, when he got back in there, things started trending the right direction. And now this Iran conflict has got things trending the opposite direction again. And people, real people, do have short memories. And I think it's a valid concern that if gas prices are high, it will be easier for them to shape the narrative that Democrats legitimately won some of these midterms, when we all know in reality, whatever happens in the midterms, it's going to be fake, fraudulent, and whatever. Dev House says we don't talk about the gas prices. Howard Tuck, I'm not changing how I vote according to gas prices. The Q Awakening, people who blame should cast their gay votes for Chevron, Exxon, Shell, etc. Dev House says no food prices. That's a different story. Karina Dan, high gas prices lead to inflation and everything else, groceries, etc., etc. Diesel prices have a higher impact on people's wallets than gas. Basically $0. Oh, so that's interesting. You guys in your circle don't talk about gas prices much. And I guess really me and my friends don't either. It probably depends what it's going to do as we get closer and closer to the midterms, which I still hope they cancel. I could have swore I had another story about gas prices, but maybe I don't. Huh. Anyway, real quick, let's talk about this. The NDAA passed the House, and it passed us a couple days ago. A lot of people are freaking out about Section 219, the whole commingling thing with Israel for our military and their military. I do think it's still being blown a little bit out of proportion. Not saying it's not, I mean, you can like it or not like it. I don't really care. It's to me, it's just everybody's kind of saying it's like the merging of our militaries when it's not really. It's more so codifying the more technological and financial aspects, stuff we're already doing. It's like, yeah, we're going to do intelligence sharing. Okay, we already do that. Yeah, we're going to do defense technology production stuff. Yeah, we already do that. I mean, I could go through the list, but that's it. Pretty much everything in there is stuff that we're already doing. Not saying it's a good thing, not saying it's a bad thing. Just saying a lot of that is it's a psyop, a lot of what you're hearing about it. But what I did find interesting going through the text of the 1,600-page NDAA, by no means have I done a full read through of this. I usually peruse all of the title pages and go and see if there's any like sections that I think might be interesting. And I found a couple having to do with special operations. Number one is the changing of the definition of what it means to do special operations activities. And it's something that if you follow my series, we've talked about this before, but they took out the part where it says military information support operations, or MISO, M-I-S-O, and they put back in psychological and cognitive warfare. And the only reason I think this is significant is when Obama was in office, they changed the definition to get rid of the words psyops, essentially, and they wanted to call it military information support operations. But then when Trump was back in and Christopher Miller and Ezra Cohen Watnick were in there, they switched it back to psyops and calling it psychological warfare. They got rid of MISO, M-I-S-O, and that's no longer in there. And so now they're looking to codify that, which I think is interesting, notable, at least. The other interesting thing I found was this one. I'm curious to see what you guys think of it. Implementation of cognitive performance enhancement program for special operations forces. And like my first read of this is like, are they going to do a specific GATE program for spec ops? Because that's kind of notable. Not later than 90 days after the date of this enactment, they shall implement a cognitive performance enhancement program to enhance cognitive performance metrics across the special operations forces. The program shall be known as the Cognitive Performance Enhancement Program, and the commander shall include the program in the strategy titled Comprehensive Strategy for Special Operations Warfighter Brain Health. It shall improve readiness, resilience, and recovery using evidence-based, holistic, and proactive high-performance brain training that has a validated ability to scale cost-effectively across the Special Operations Forces enterprise. It clearly distinguishes cognitive performance enhancement from brain decline and injuries, including with respect to traumatic brain injury, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. That was a tough word, and I nailed it, I think. And mental health, including post-traumatic stress disorders. Increases awareness of cognitive performance as a critical differentiator that can help ensure Special Operations Forces remains the most lethal, decisive, irregular warfare force of the United States, and ensures baseline cognitive performance assessments, training, and enhancements are included as an essential element of training and assessment throughout the career of a member of the Armed Forces and Special Operations in a similar manner to other physical training and performance metrics. So they're putting like an emphasis on brain development. And I'm just curious, like what exactly it's going to entail. And I think the reason it really piqued my interest is because of, some of the episodes me and Zach have done recently about the GATES program, Gifted and Talented Education Program or whatever. It makes it almost seem like they're going to do something with that. So I thought that was notable. Cloud Topper, Ripple put out an announcement. Ripple mints can convert money to digital in U.S. banks for institutions. I feel like they announce stuff like that all the time. And I never know how much of the Ripple stuff is actually true. The Q Awakening says, people want to cast blame on Trump for the hardships they have always been caused by sociopaths that are now hopefully being unseated from power. If wielded properly, it's a red pill opportunity. Yeah, I agree. And I think Chris made a really good point about this on a recent Power Hour. I don't know. I don't think it was this most recent Saturday, but I think it was the one before that, where we were talking about, people trying to blame everything and put everything at the feet of Trump, when in actuality, a lot of the problems that you're seeing in your day-to-day life, from gas prices, inflation, economic, whatever it is, a lot of that is not Trump's fault. Now, I'm not saying he's not, him and his administration are not to blame for some things. Like, we are in a conflict right now where inflation is not great. Gas prices are not great. But I have my faith in Trump, and I believe he's doing things for the right reason. But it's not like things were picture perfect before that either. Like, he was getting things to come down. And then when the conflict started, obviously, that was a great opportunity for all of Trump's enemies to capitalize on that and make things as worse as possible, to blame it on Trump. But there are a lot of places, for instance, where gas prices are super high, not because of the barrel of, that's what the excuse they use, but the reality is it's because of the gas companies and a lot of the times your states. If a gallon or if a barrel of oil of gas is $100, okay, $100, and there are 42 gallons in there, how much does it take to actually make your money back on that one barrel that was $100? What do you have to sell gas price at? And I know there's other costs that are included in that. But if you do $3 a gallon, if that was the average, it's $126. They're still waiting for a lot of profit. R. Hody, Phil Scarborough, I don't remember us talking about inflation, how expensive things were during the Biden years when things were a lot worse. I wouldn't say they were a lot worse. I feel like right now things, if I'm being honest about my personal situation, in my day-to-day life, I would say things have gotten more expensive. And we feel the economic impact being since we're not we don't get money from a big outfit or anything. We get all of our money comes from you guys who watch us. We have sponsors, but we only get sponsor money if people purchase from them. And the biggest indicator for us on how people are doing, and this is, I've gathered this in conversations too, people are struggling, and it's rants and stuff are way down, network wide and Rumble wide. When I talked to Rumble on Friday, I was asking about that, and they're seeing the economics of it too. People are struggling. Not everybody, and everybody's situation is differently. But, when Trump talks about the golden age, I almost think that's another attack vector that could be used that we need to be prepared to defend, because while I see the path through to the golden age, and I see a lot of things that have been, prepped and ready to flip on the switch, kind of like the switch theory, it's not all golden for everybody right now. 1280 boy, gas at the pump isn't the expensive part. It's the taxes added to that cost. Yeah, especially in the blue states. 100%. Running Patriot. On Monday, I went to my martial arts class at 6 p.m., came home at 9 p.m., and the Wawa gas station raised the price by 15 cents in that time. That's crazy. Base Burns says there's no reason to sugarcoat reality. The day-to-day life of most Americans right now is absolute poo-poo. Yeah. And talking about that is not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to hurt Trump. I think actually talking about that stuff and truly looking for the reasons as to why it is that way, you will get to the, like, if you get to the bottom of that question, it's the states and a lot of times local elected officials and Congress. Like, if you could look at some of the agenda that Trump has tried to implement, and those are probably great red pill opportunities. Maybe that's something we could explore, of putting together like a list, like not just of things that have been accomplished, because there's a long list of that, which is great, but not everything that gets accomplished will affect people on their day-to-day life. But there's a lot of things that Trump has tried to do to affect people on their day-to-day life, and none of it ever gets codified by Congress, or it gets stonewalled by rogue judges, or blue states won't implement it. Like, those conversations aren't easy to have, but they're necessary. Penn W. I'm on vacation in Michigan with my friend, and all our childhood friends are crazy Democrats that think Trump is a child rapist. There is no talking to them. Yeah, that is frustrating. And I don't know how to get through to those people, and I don't know half the time if it's worth trying. Like, it's hard enough to have like a debate with somebody when they act in good faith. Like, even those are struggle sessions most of the time, even when they're trying to act in good faith. But then when you throw in the mix of like somebody who is, their starting point is delusion, like, there's no good faith to be found there. It's really difficult. Cloud Topper John, if you haven't talked about it, what's up with the war resolution vote? Mostly symbolic. I don't see how the Senate's going to come through and pass that, but who knows? Who knows? Let's read through these, says Phil Scarborough. Yeah, this is a great list. Coffee and COVID news. Put this out. Trump 2.0 accomplishments. Definitely worth saving. We can read through these. Oh, it's a really long list. I don't know if I want to read through all of it because it's so long. I'll just post it again in the chat. Maybe at the end we can read through it. True Deplorable. I hope everyone here has read John's Substack since Trump's address about elections. Yeah, I was hoping we get more documents. We haven't. It's been sad. We were told there's like 10,000 documents that we were going to get. And we haven't gotten, I don't know, we've gotten like four zip drives. One of them only has 2 documents in there. We haven't gotten nearly 10,000 pages, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, let's keep plugging away or start getting to some other stories. FBI Director Kash Patel has met with China's top security official in Beijing. He held talks Friday with Beijing with the Chinese State Councilor and Public Security Minister Wang Xiaohong. Wang pressed both sides to follow through on understandings reached by their presidents and keep dialogue constructive. He specifically called for deeper cooperation on drug trafficking, telecom and online fraud, child pornography, money laundering, and tracking down fugitives. The two sides agreed to continue expanding law enforcement exchanges in practical cooperation. This is notable because in October, Kash Patel is also going to be going to Russia. So they're meeting with all the counterparts, all the people that are traditionally accused of stealing elections, right? Whether true or not, who knows? Trump said it himself. It's like the same stuff we do to them, but one of them has had to do it. I do think the problem is much more prevalent domestically. But anyway, this is the big talk today. Trump admin hits 60 economies with tariffs over forced labor. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer is imposing tariffs on 60 economies that refuse to ban and enforce prohibitions on goods made with forced labor. Acting at President Trump's discretion under Section 301 of the Trade Act, the move follows months of investigations that included 2 rounds of public hearings, more than 2,100 comments, and talks with trading partners. Greer said decades of polite pressure have failed to clean forced labor out of global supply chains. The United States has banned such imports for nearly a century and enforces it. It's every time everyone else does the same. On March 12th, the USTR launched the probes. By June 2nd, it formally determined the country's failure to act is unreasonable and burdens U.S. commerce. After more public input and hearings in July, Greer set the final rates 10% for economies that already ban forced labor goods, have committed to do so under a reciprocal trade agreement or have partial bans in place. That includes Argentina, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Canada, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, India, Indonesia, Jordan, Malaysia, Mexico, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Trinidad and Tobago, and the United Kingdom. 10 or 12.5%, the net of MFN manufacturing rates on certain products from the European Union, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Switzerland, then 12.5% for all remaining investigated economies. Some products get exemptions, but this is, I like this angle. I really do, because Trump, not only can he implement tariffs, but he's doing so in a way that if the Democrats or anybody freaks out about it, they can't. We are implementing tariffs because of slavery, essentially. And you think that's a topic like the left wants to go to bat for and be like, no, Trump, you can't do this. You can't implement tariffs on countries that are for the justification of slavery. I have a hard time believing they're going to do that. So I think it's creative. And I like it. Kind of wish they would be higher. But we'll see. I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm sure some rogue judge somewhere is going to try to stop this. But you're not going to see, I don't think, like the left or the mainstream media really harp on this too much. Can we get those tariff checks already? Yeah, remember those? Not only did we pay higher prices, but when the tariff stuff was paid back, the 88 million or billion, whatever it was, went back to the company. So the company's essentially double dipped. Cian Stewart, my life went to crap when I complimented Trump's moves to save children first. Admin in a room full of Democrats. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't talk about pro-Trump stuff in a room full of Democrats. Cian Stewart, a lot of NGO Democrats, a little more money, and they become whatever you ask them to be. Mervox says, that means we'll be making money off of slave labor. Yeah, kind of. But not really. Phil Scarborough, most of what we own is made with forced slave labor in communist China. We've just switched the race of the slaves. That is for sure. The House Committee has subpoenaed left-wing nonprofits, speaking of NGOs, over $39 million that they've gotten from Neville Roy Singham. House Ways and Means Committee has subpoenaed 3 left-wing nonprofits after they failed to turn over a single document on more than $39 million funneled through from Marxist tech billionaire Neville Roy Singham. Chairman Jason Smith's panel issued the subpoenas July 21st to the People's Forum, Breakthrough News, and Tricontinental Institute for Societal Research. I want to know what this Breakthrough News is. Never actually heard of them. I wonder who is on it. Zoe Alexander, Ben Becker, Matthew Balin, Rachel Hu. Yeah, nobody I'm really... Looks like just a bunch of lesbians. Wonder how much they're getting. I'm always curious to see how much these media companies get when they do this stuff. Oh, they show right here. Singham, an American-born software mogul who sold ThoughtWorks for roughly $785 million and now lives in Shanghai, has poured hundreds of millions into socialists and communist causes worldwide. Fox News had earlier traced $22.44 million to the People's Forum, $16.76 million to Tricontinental, and about $1.1 million to Breakthrough's parent. The money allegedly moved through shell companies and donor-advised funds designed to hide the original source. Wild. It's hard to keep up with the IQ level of most Badlands content creators unless you sleep at a Holiday Inn Express the night prior. I bet go. That's funny. Trump's protecting this from E.H. Kyle, our production industries. I do believe that's called the American system of economics that our founding fathers gave us, for sure. And there's going to be a difficult transition period when it comes to onshoring a lot of this production. But again, it's a switch theory. Like even going back to the Biden admin, there were things that were being put in place that it didn't make logical sense because they were stuff that the Biden administration and Biden himself previously campaigned against. And it was stuff that Trump had tried to implement at the end of his term. And when they were carried out under Biden, you're like, whoa, that's weird. Why is that happening? Just like, why is Biden signing or re-signing Executive Order 13848 again? Like it's stuff like that that makes it interesting. But there's a lot of that stuff that took place which is why the switch theory that we talked about, like at some point Trump can just flip the switch and everything takes off like crazy. That's why we talked about that in the first place, because there's evidence of it being there. I just don't think the switch has been flipped yet. Phil Scarborough, I miss when you'd go through your Devo parts on locals. You should start those back up, with all your free time. I'm kind of working on another future article focused on the intelligence community. I don't know when it'll be done. I don't know. I don't think I have enough yet. I still need more I need more declassified documents to be able to finish it up, because like I said, the intelligence community is that through line throughout all of this. And there's definite ways to point to it. I just need some more nails to put in the coffin, maybe. But yeah, I used to love going through that stuff too. And I really should just do it at some point, just to like remember things that I had forgotten. Because just last Saturday's DPH, when me and Chris went through the newly declassified docs and we went through timeline stuff, like some of the stuff that happened in the timeline is more interesting than I even realized. And I wouldn't remember it had we not gone through it. Gail Time says, headed to Badlands meetup Saturday in Lakeland, Florida. See you there if you're going. Will be nice to see like-minded folks in real life. Been a while. It's awesome, Gail Time. Make sure you come to Jupiter on the weekend of August 10th. I'll be there. The date is August 9th. Make sure you RSVP. Covered that at the beginning of the show. Let's talk about this. This isn't just the news, kind of having to do with oil prices again. An October surprise from China could spike oil prices ahead of midterm election for Trump. Supply and demand. Beijing has decreased importing oil since the Iran war began, keeping oil prices lower than they otherwise would have been. Analysts say China's restraint could soon end, presenting President Trump with challenging increase in gas prices ahead of the midterms. After the outbreak of war in Iran, China drastically reduced its oil imports. They say that they could, I just read all this. They're going to, August and September, the reserves are going to start getting pretty low. So they're going to be in a position where they are going to ramp up oil purchases, suddenly adding the purchase of 5 million barrels a day to the equation. 2025, China imported roughly 11.6 million barrels of oil per day. By May of this year, that number plunged to 7.8 million barrels per day, a more than 40% decline. In a one-year period, according to Chinese media outlet Cacao, the rapid decline in Chinese oil imports is widely credited with helping stave off more significant global oil price increases amid the disruption. But so essentially they're saying as soon as China wants to, they can start purchasing oil at the rate that they usually do, and it would negatively impact gas prices, which would negatively impact whatever happens at the midterms. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody's like freaking out about it. Phil Scarborough, I'm trying to get Chris to start back up Hindsight 2020. 2020 is probably the most detrimental year in our lives, and it's never been fully impacted. There's so much there. Yeah, me and Chris are still planning to do a different show soon, and we can kind of do like a hindsight portion to it, I bet. Do a quick look back at certain time periods, 2020 being one of them. But yeah, I doubt he's going to start a separate news show, but maybe. John, this is from E.H. Kyle. Jameson Greer pointed out that there was a straight line from Trump first admin to his second admin when it comes to tariffs. Yeah. Hindsight 1871. I like that. Then I already did the tariff story. Let's look at Trump's Truth Social. We got a couple posts here. It's been kind of busy this morning. Starting with this one. President Xi, at our recent meeting in Beijing, China, told me that he would not, under any circumstances, give or sell weapons to the Islamic Republic of Iran. And that statement included Chinese companies. Considering our relationship, I take him at his word. And besides, I'm doing him very big favors. Also, likewise, President Putin, despite the horrible war going on in Ukraine, the relationship remains as it does with President Zelensky, told me that he would not sell weapons to Iran. He understands that I do not sell weapons to Ukraine, but to NATO countries. They pay full price. How those weapons are distributed, I have no idea. Therefore, two major countries that people speak of often in terms of Iran are, in my opinion, not participating. If they did, it would be very bad for them, certainly not in their best interests. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So he's calling out Russia and China both sitting out the Iran conflict, which, if that's true, is interesting, I would say. But we'll see where he goes with that. I think Zelensky is coming to the White House again soon, like maybe this coming week. And then also he's got a meeting with China coming up in like 3 weeks with Xi. So interesting times. Canada disinvited the United States of America to the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge, which is fine considering they are paying substantial tariffs to the United States. But the original deal on the bridge, which was terribly negotiated by a previous administration, no longer stands. We changed the terms of the deal, so the United States of America now gets 50% of the profit. Thank you for your attention to this matter. To think all they had to do was invite him to the bridge opening, and that may not have happened. I think that's hilarious. Another story here, the European Union, another Truth Social post from Trump. The European Union is at it again, as usual, taking direct aim at great American companies. After having fined Apple for no reason at all, $15 billion, Meta, $3 billion, Amazon, $2.5 billion, many others, we have just been informed that Google, a truly advanced and amazing group, has been fined yet another $1 billion without explanation. This brings the Google total over $18 billion. This illegal and highly discriminatory practice started at these high levels during the first year of Sleepy Joe administration, but it is not going to continue during the Trump administration. The United States of America is not a piggy bank for Europe, nor will we allow it to be. Please let this truth serve to represent that we will immediately initiate a 301 investigation into the practice of robbing American companies and, in turn, the American taxpayer. The European Union will pay a very big price for this illegal and highly unethical conduct, which I've consistently warned them about. The penalties will be entirely reversed, and we anticipate a substantial tariff to be placed on them at the earliest possible moment. Stay tuned, President Donald J. Trump. So he is wielding that tariff stick again, even after paying back the fines, even after the Supreme Court said ruled that they couldn't. They said they would find other ways, and they're proving that, which I think is awesome. Then here we go. We got another long one. This just came out a minute ago, like 5 minutes ago. Thank you to all the senators who opposed yet another Democrat-led attempt to undermine our national security. Congratulations to our great speaker, Mike Johnson, and the House Republicans for their major success in taking the first step towards passing the budget bill. Thank you to our terrific chairman, Jody Arrington, Chip Roy, Michelle Fishbach, Virginia Fox, Jason Smith, Mike Rogers, and GT Thompson, Brian Steele, and our incredible whip, Tom Emmer, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and all those who came together to make this important step. This will be one of the most consequential bills in American history, strengthening our powerful military, providing aid for our farmers, and most importantly, as much of the Save America Act as possible. Our voters will be extremely happy and even impressed. I'm asking that the Senate adopt a budget resolution which can pass with a simple majority before leaving for August recess. We are ready to work side by side with the Senate to get this done for the American people, President Donald J. Trump. I mean, I don't know. I really don't care about the Save or the NDAA or the Save Act. I wish more people were talking about how big of a bill this is. 1.5 trillion. It's just insane. Q Awakening, I remember defending so-and-so in GART chats when more intuitive people went after him. Makes you want to throw up now. I feel the same way. The whole thing's sad, so let's stop talking about that, guys. People going to betray me. It happens. It happens in life. We move on. I thought this was funny. Mike Lee is showing a poll that only 9% of Americans have confidence in Congress. Like, dude, you are part of them. You are part of the problem. But it's like that meme where the old guy like dresses as a skateboarder and he's like, "Hello, fellow youngins. I'm cool like you." That's what I see when these Congress people try to like post things to grift off of whatever this social trend is, when really they're part of the problem the entire time. I think it's so stupid. Let's look at CNN's homepage real quick. I don't know which school shooting that was, but apparently a Georgia teen has been sentenced. Measles cases in the U.S. reached 35-year high. I saw a story, right here. Massive cyclosporiasis outbreak linked to 4 more states. They're running wild with that diarrhea. Man, I don't know if I have any more exciting stories. I thought this was kind of cool. The Washington Post is talking about how knives are out for J.D. Vance in the GOP. Vice President has faced a barrage of attacks recently that are unusual for their intensity and how early in the political calendar they are taking place. As J.D. Vance prepares to make a decision about his 2028 plans, the vice president is facing a barrage of online attacks from within his party. Criticism, his allies say, appears to be part of a coordinated attempt to poison the well, for him politically. His detractors have adopted the Never Vance slogan and flooded social media, especially over the past week, with attacks including claims that Vance is unfit to be vice president due to his efforts to negotiate a peace deal with Iran. They've asserted without evidence that Vance is making policy decisions not supported by the president. And they've likened him to former President Barack Obama and Senator Bernie Sanders. It is interesting, I'll say, that J.D. Vance was like pushed to the forefront of the peace negotiations with Iran. And they're the negotiations that have obviously since completely tanked. It makes you wonder if that was the plan all along, to politically weaken J.D. Vance. You got to wonder what Trump is doing at all times. The diligent, he's also hoarding our great wealth from us. Who are we talking about? Bro, Trump just brought $17 trillion in this year. I don't think all of that has been paid out. And most of that was in investments, like building stuff here, which is good because more money will come after that. But it's not like they just gave the United States $17 trillion. Did y'all see Sean Ryan interview with Tucker and spoke on Trump betrayal? Yeah, that's an op. Hey, remember when everybody's going on that show and we were like, dude, this is a psyop. Stop it. And everybody's like, oh no, this is great. This is awesome. And now look what he's doing. He became the #1 podcast in the world and later turned on Trump. What a shocking story. I've never heard that before. That's like every freaking story there is. John will make an awesome VP. I doubt it. I'd actually probably be pretty terrible at that job. I get a lot of people probably hate me though. Like I wouldn't, if I were VP, well, it's mostly ceremonial anyway. So maybe I'd be good at it if I don't have to do anything, actually. That'd be fun. I don't know. Who would be my president if I was VP? Because I feel like I would be the president. I feel like it should be the other way around. You guys got me in the wrong position. Todd Blanche's written replies to senators show he's still acting like Trump's lawyer. When the acting attorney general told Senate Judiciary Committee members, makes clear that he should not be confirmed. They really don't want him confirmed, so they're running with stories like this. Well, some are focused on whether a couple of lame duck Republican senators will vote to confirm Todd Blanche as Attorney General. All senators should be aware that Blanche's written responses to members of the Senate Judiciary Committee show how, even as he serves as acting Attorney General, he's still acting as President Trump's lawyer. He should not be confirmed. I want to find what some of the... Here we go. The exchanges are illuminating. Senator Chris Coons asked, is this release order still in effect? Blanche answered simply yes. The response contradicts the recent order from Judge Kathleen Williams, who prohibited Trump from relying on the settlement agreement. Yeah, we haven't seen the end of that story yet. It is no small matter that Blanche, already a high-ranking Justice Department official, has any role in Trump's personal lawsuit. Let's get going. Senator Richard Durbin, do you believe it was appropriate for you to sign a document that attempted to grant criminal immunity to your former client and his family? He said it would be inappropriate for me to comment on internal deliberations. I told you those things would be attack vectors. That entire IRS settlement suit and the settlement generally. And I speculated, if you were the Trump admin or people, the enemy embedded within the Trump admin, what kind of things would you do to potentially politically and actually damage the Trump administration and his efforts, Trump and his efforts? And like that IRS settlement thing, I look at that as one of them. Same with the Epstein files. Not everybody in Trump's admin is good. There are people working against him there. They're trying to hibernate. All they need to do is outlast him. They're going to do negative things. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that story. VP is just a substitute teacher. Ryan did a good interview with General Quast. Yes, he did. It is great, like with his platform, to have good people go on there and take advantage of it and reach a wider audience. Don't dispute that at all. I was very happy for General Quast that he got on there. My issue is with that. I've always thought he's a Fed. I think he's controlled. He's allowed to become the #1 podcaster and do so on YouTube. That is not a lot without help. And then for him to come out and this op now to turn on Trump, like, yeah, it seems coordinated. Nearly 150,000 mail ballots rejected in California's primary. Late arriving ballots are the main reason for the rejection increase. Data shows Postal Service changes might affect timing of when postmarks are applied. So here they're trying to, with all the shenanigans in California's election, and there were a lot of them, this is them trying to be like, hey guys, look how many ballots were rejected. Look at the good work we did rejecting these ballots. I wonder if they're probably still counting there. But anyway, California's become notorious for its slow vote counts that can drag on for weeks and sometimes longer, largely the result of multiple changes over the years intended to increase turnout, but have done little to achieve that. Among the changes, every voter receives a mail-in ballot that can arrive at an election office 7 days late and still be counted. Yet, even with that week-long window, the primary driver for the higher rejection numbers is late arriving ballots, according to data compiled by the Secretary of State's office. You know what? That's interesting to me. Because think about it this way. What if, and I don't know California's elections, I don't know the ins and outs like somebody like CanCon or Ash might, or a California resident, but I'm assuming people's vote record is not public. And so if they know they mail out votes for everybody, right? If they fill out a fake ballot for somebody and submit it, and then those other people mail their ballots in, they can just hold on to it and say like, oh, that person didn't respond. We're going to reject that ballot. But in actuality, you guys already voted in their name. It's potentially 150,000 stolen votes just right there. They were all people who are, that's my theory. They're all people who actually voted and sent in a mail-in ballot, but the vote was already made in their name. And so the state pretends that they're rejecting them for not arriving in time. That's a conspiracy theory, though. I don't know. Bay Theater Dave, my Patriot Normie friends think Ryan is the bee's knees, and he's out there justifying people turning on Trump. So that's not cool. YouTube is run by the deep state, so I expect any political commenter who is successful there. Yeah, totally agree. And speaking of that, you should all go over to YouTube and hit thumbs up and help us get a wider audience over there while we can. Because we're making, a couple grand a month over there. That's super helpful. Because we're not like allowed to get the big money from the big platforms. So it's very helpful. Brent 84, every ballot that I had to cure in Maricopa County was the real. The fake ones probably went through just fine. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I was just kind of speaking out my butt there. But it makes sense. I thought this was hilarious. I have not seen the Odyssey yet. I kind of want to just because everybody's talking about it and I want to know what's going on. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go see that. My kids are coming back tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe we'll go today. I don't know what I'm going to see, but I'm going to see this eventually. But there's like this back and forth. There are some people who hate it just because of the casting choices. Totally get that. But there are some people who should hate it because, the conservative thing to do is bash the, whatever the wokeness of it. But there are people who still love it anyway because they say it's a good movie. And so there's like this inner discourse and dispute going on amongst the conservatives over whether to like this movie or not. And I think that's funny. But this article, the folly of Elon Musk's call for a historically accurate Odyssey. The billionaire doesn't seem to understand that there's no such thing as a historically accurate myth or how bad his version would likely wind up being. I just want to read the first couple paragraphs here. Even as Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey rakes in ticket sales and critical praise, Elon Musk has petulantly insisted he could do a better job or at least throw money at someone to make a film that better fits Musk's aesthetic preferences. Musk suggested on X this week that Grok Imagine, the latest generative version of his racist pet artificial intelligence chatbot, would produce a full-length movie of the Odyssey that is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer. Musk also responded positively to an X user's pitch to give Mel Gibson $100 million to film an Odyssey adaptation with painstakingly accurate ships, armor, weapons, and casting, with all dialogue taken straight from the original poem and delivered in Homeric Greek. I think he's totally like the future of movies is full-length feature films that are done all through AI. Like I could probably put together a solid half-hour movie if I just had a script. I could totally do an AI thing if I had a good script and stuff to go on. I could easily do it. The hardest part is getting the script. But when we did the video for the GART, the last GART, the jury trial thing, he gave me a script and I did everything else. the entire thing that was almost AI. It took me like a day to do a 6-minute video. If I had 6 months, I could put together a full half an hour long movie. Pandradoid says it's just a mid movie. Visually, all looks good, but everything else is not great. As also, they ruin the story of the Odyssey. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I've never read the original book. I don't think I've even seen the other movies. I know generally what the concept of it is, and I do think it's stupid to cast. Like the commentary about the casting decisions are valid. Like casting a trans as what's his face. So stupid. But Ash says he did a good job. So I don't know. The Panda Droid says, just watch the Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic review of the Odyssey to get a better idea. You know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will do that and see. But I do want to see it anyway. Eventually I'm going to. Homer was required reading when I was in school. Yeah, it wasn't for me. Gale Time says, what app do you use to build video, John? I use multiple different ones. I use Seed Dance 2.0, and then I did use Grok Imagine for a lot of it. And then I use a separate AI, Claude, to enter the prompts. Like I tell Claude to give me the prompts for the videos. My Nolan trust level is low. Ask BB to write a script for you. Yeah, maybe we should. Maybe I should. And me and Chris were working on some for a while, but again, we couldn't just like nail down the script part of it. So I'll think about that more. But anyway, guys, I think that's all I got for you today. Actually, no, I do have one more thing, and that's to heavily suggest that you guys all buy some soft disclosure.
One hero, one mission, to deliver softness to America.
No, Chi-Chi, we can't stop for snacks, dude. We have to deliver all of these soft disclosure gift cards.
He goes by Zach Kane.
The motion detector.
Hey, stop fighting over the beer brush.
Life finds a way.
Hydrate your elbows, moisturize your soul. Feel the rhythm together. Makes you feel alive and let the lotion roll. Soft disclosure, hear the cry. Maximum softness, do or die.
Muffin, hit it.
Softdisclosure.com, promo code Muffin, hit it. Get yourself a discount while getting the best lotion products around. Do you gotta give a shout out over on YouTube? Thank you, Babbage. Babbage left a rant, says AZ Navy Vet is now a Badlands member on YouTube. And yeah, we got a couple people over on YouTube. I didn't see him becoming a member, so thank you. But we do have these. We have Michelle Ference 3939. 1,000 Jewels Goat Trophy. I don't know what that means. I think that means gifting subscriptions, maybe. And then I also have 10 Jewels Gold Coin. So I don't know what this means, but I appreciate it because it's some sort of super chat feature. So thank you very much. And for those here on Rumble, make sure you guys go over there and hit that thumbs up. Tonight, I will be on OnlyLands. I think it's going to be, I have the list here. Let me look. It's going to be me, Ash, Jay, Matt Trump, Zach, and BB. Maybe we can talk about the film idea a little bit. We can start working on one. Phil says, cinema is not just a script. It's how you compose a shot, how you shape the light in the shot, which lens you use, how good the actors are, where you cut, etc. For sure. Does soft disclosure have shaving cream for women? No, we don't yet, but maybe someday. Anyway, I'm going to peace out, you guys. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tonight on OnlyLens. And is Ghost going after me today? I think he is. Yeah, so I'm going to raid you guys over to Ghost. So catch y'all later.
Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.